So in the Cisco packet tracer, you might know about this application. If you have no idea how to install or how to use this application, you just give me a comment. I will record a video on this application. So on the left corner we have this devices panel. So we can see, for example, network devices. We click, we have different routers, switches and hubs, etc. So from here we will select the switches. So in this small window we can see different series of switches. So we will just take this 2960, and then we have for the end devices, the second tab we have the end devices. So these are different end devices. From the end devices we can select a PC, right? So now we will connect this PC to the switch. So over here we have this bold sign which is used for the connections when we connect it. So you should know that, for example, we want to connect an end device to the switch or the router. We use a straight cable. So over here when you mouse over on the these icons, so over here they will show you what kind of cable is it. So normally, for example, we can connect, for example, if we want to access the switch or the router, there can be different ways. For example, if we can use a console cable, so we can select the console cable. So it will be connected to the this RJ connection, and over here we have the console port. So by this we connected the PC to the switch using console cable. Next, for example, how to access this switch from the this PC. We will click on this PC, then we have the let's suppose we have this desktop icon. Over here we have different applications. So we will select the terminal. So when you select the terminal, these are the different settings for connecting a laptop or the desktop to a switch or the router. So these are different connections, so leave it by default. If you have any question about these, do ask me. I will show to you what is meant by these different parameters, but these are the default parameters. Leave it as it and then click OK. So over here it shows that it already got the data from the switch, because this is the interface. We connected the PC to the switch, for example, the console connection. So it shows this is the iOS of the switch, which shows that it is a version of 12.2, and it has already loaded. So these are different parameters, we will discuss it later. For example, this is the exact model number or the series number of the iOS which loaded the switch into. So then we will just, for example, if we click the enter, so we can see that this is the interface of the switch. We have already logged in. So this is what we call the user mode. Over here we can have different commands. For example, if we click type the question mark button, so it will show you different commands that we can type in this user exec mode. For example, the connect, a list of commands we can use to using this user exec mode. For example, show and then space, and again if we click the question mark, again we have a list of commands which we can use. So these are actually the commands on the left side, and this is just a small description of this command, for what purpose we can use this command. So there are a list of different commands that we can use in this user exec mode. The next is, let's suppose when we say enable. Okay, there's another cool feature. For example, if I type en and if I click the tab button on my keyboard, so whatever the actual command will be that begins with those initial alphabets, so it will auto complete. And for example, if there are multiple commands with the same alphabet, for example, if you can see over here there are multiple commands starting with S. So for example, if I type S and then if I click the tab button, it is not showing anything because there are multiple commands which start with the S. So if I type the question mark without any space with the S, so it tells me that okay, there are two commands, one is show command and another is SSH command. So then we can, let's suppose for example, if I write another S and then if I click tab, then it will show me the SSH. Similarly, for example, if I write the E and if I click the tab, I don't have any command over here, so it is not showing me any command. Even if I type the question mark, it should tell me that this is an unrecognized command. So this is just a kind of cool feature provided by the iOS. So enable is the command which we use normal to go to the exec mode. For example, if I click on it, so you can see that the sign change from this greater than to this hash symbol. This shows that we are in the actually we are in the privilege mode. So over here we can have different options. So this is the previous one was the kind of the previous was, so the previous interface with this with this greater sign was the user exec mode, and when we typed the enable, the mode got changed to the privilege exit mode. So over here we again, for example, if I type a question mark, so again there are different commands that we can run in the privilege exit mode. So when I press the space bar, it shows the rest of the commands that I can use in the privilege exit mode. So over here, if I type, let's suppose C and then the question mark, so it will show me it will show me all the commands that are associated with the C. So you can, let's start with character or the alphabet C. So when I type the C along with the question mark, so it shows me that these are the clear, clock, configure, connect and copy. These are the commands that start with the character C. So for example, if I say CL and then if I click the tab button, nothing happens because we have these two multiple commands that starts with the CL. That's why it is not completing the command. So for example, if I type the question mark with the CL, now it shows me that there are two commands that start with the CL. One is the clear and the second one is the clock, right? So this is just the privilege exit mode. Then there is another mode which we call the global configuration mode. If you want to go to the global configuration mode, we type the conf and if I press the conf and if I press the tab button, so it is auto completed. Now I want to configure, and then if I click the question mark button, then there is an option of terminal, which shows that okay, I want to configure the switch by the terminal from the terminal. So and there is the second option, which means if I enter, I can go directly to the global configuration mode. So for example, if I type the terminal the configure, and if I press enter, it will show okay, because the default is the terminal connection. For we want to configure the switch or this device by the terminal, so they are saying configuring from terminal, memory or the network. So the default is the terminal, so we want to, yes, the default is terminal, we can say enter. So enter configuration command. So this is this. Now if you notice that the prompt has changed from the hash to, there is in the bracket they have written the config, which specifies that now we are in the global configuration mode. It means that this is the mode where we can configure different global parameters, which will be across for this device. So it is a global configuration mode. So again, if we type kind of question mark over here, so these are the different commands that are associated with the global configuration mode. So over here, for example, now to go back from this interface to the previous one, so there are multiple ways. For example, if I type the exact, so and if I press the enter button, so you can see that okay, configuration from the console. So now I got out from the global configuration mode and I came back to the privilege exit mode, right? You can see the hash sign, so there is no config word written inside these parentheses. So I got out of this global configuration mode. So last time I showed you how we can go out from the global configuration mode to the privilege exit mode. One way was to just type the exit. So for example, if I type the exit, I can if I press enter, so I came back from the global configuration mode to the privilege exit mode. So let's go back to the config and then terminal. So from here we have another short key, Control Z. So if we press Control plus Z, and then directly we will come out of the global configuration mode to the privilege exit mode. So now I will show you how we can just set the clock of the switch. So for example, let's move to the, normally this is done in the global configuration mode. For example, in the privilege exit mode, if I type show and then if I say clock, so it means it show me the time like this one, which is definitely not the right time, but okay, this is just the default configuration for the switch. So we can just change it. For example, if and also if I type the clock and then if I set the question mark, so it shows me what next commands. Okay, there were two things. For example, what one was that, for example, if I type any initial alphabet and if I type this question mark without any space, so it shows me that with this CL there are multiple commands. One is the clear and second is the clock. For example, if I write, let's suppose like this one, and if I put a space over here and then I set the question mark, now it shows me that after the clock I can have this set command, which this is just a brief description of this command set, right? So it means that after the clock, if I use a space and then question mark, it shows me the different options or different commands which I can use over here. So after clock and then provide a space and then I can have the set command. It means that I want to set the clock for this switch, right? So it shows me the, okay, then if after this if I put again a question mark, so it shows me that I can set the current time. It will be for hour, minutes and seconds. So for example, if it is, let's suppose 2 p.m. so it can be, let's suppose 14, this is the hour, then minutes, let's suppose minutes are 30 minutes, 2:30, and the second is, let's suppose 10 seconds, right? Then for example, again, if I put a question mark after this command, it shows me the day of the month or month of the year, right? So let's suppose if we want to set that, okay, this is January, or let's suppose it's January 1st of 2022. So I can write, for example, this is the day of the month, which is the 01, and then the month. For example, if I put a question mark over here, it tells me that, okay, month of the year. So I can type, let's suppose Jan, right? This is month of the year, and then the year is specific. For example, if I type the year, which is, let's suppose this one, and if I again press type the question mark, it means this is the enter carriage return or the enter key. So it means that this is let me explain it again. If I want to set the clock of the switch, so I will type the command clock, then set. I want to set the clock for the switch. Then we have the hour, minutes, and the seconds, then the day of the month, then month of the year, and then actual the year. And then if I press the enter, so it was before it was showing over here, you can see that it was showing kind of 1945 and UTC Monday, March 1, 1993. So now if again if I type the command show and then again the clock, now you can see that, okay, it is UTC and the time is now 12:30:33. These are the milliseconds, and the date is January 1, 2022, right? So this is how you set the clock for switch. We will do further configuration, or we will use different commands for the switches in the coming labs or in the coming topologies. I will explain that later. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions so far, do ask me in the comment. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.